Hello everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here today with my, can you believe it, the December 2020 TBR and TBW video. So I'm going to talk about my to be read pile, everything I hope to read for December, and my TBW or my to be watched pile, so everything I hope to watch. Now, as always, or for the last 3 or so months now, I have my Scrabble letters and my cards with the prompts on them, so I am ready to once again dive back into my letter and prompt TBW game. So hopefully you guys will stay tuned for the second half of the video for that. We are going to start with my TBR for the month of December though, so let's not waste any time at all. Let's dive right in. Due to all the real world craziness that was going on in the month of November, we had the election here in the States, and that just consumed all of my free time. And even while I was working, I had CNN on in the background. Like, I was just addicted to what those results were going to be, so I had no time for any other media. So it ended up being my lowest reading month of the year, just in terms of the number of books I finished in the month of November. But I did read some good ones, so I will talk about that in my wrap-up. And I should note, I am going to do an October and November reading book wrap up in one video, so you will see everything I read for the past 2 months in that video, hopefully either later this week or the following week. But regardless, we're here today to talk about what I'm going to read for December. The reason I bring that up though was because I am going to have some that were on there last month. So first up is one that was on my TBR last month, and it is Star Wars Galaxy of Fear. This is book number 4, The Nightmare Machine, and this of course is written by John Whitman. You can see book number 4 there. So I'm a huge fan of the series. I'm 3 books in. I meant to get to this one last month. It didn't happen, so it's going back onto the TBR for December, and yeah, I'm really excited to get to this one because I think this series is just so much fun. So this will be the first one that makes a return to my TBR this month. This next one needs no introduction. I've talked about it in 2 other TBR videos, and I still haven't started Watchmen yet. But I'm starting it tonight, okay? It is getting started tonight. I am going to start Alan Moore's Watchmen because I need to finish it by the end of this month in order to get through one of my goals that I set for myself back in January, which I'm actually going to talk a little bit about here as we continue through this TBR. But Watchmen is getting started tonight. I know you guys have seen it on this video 3 times now, but it's happening. It will happen in December. It has to. Alright, so everything else in this video should be new, at least in terms of my TBR. So this is a book I have been wanting to read forever. I've owned it for over a decade. Like, in fact, I started reading like the first 80-some pages of this when I was studying abroad in Moscow. And that was when I was 19 years old. No, 18 technically, and so that was a long time ago. So I have never come back to it for whatever reason, so that has changed. I am now like 50-something% of the way through this audiobook, so I do have the physical copy, and this is what I've owned for, you know, the longest time, but it is available on Audible Plus. So I finished my last audiobook last month and needed something else to start, figured this would be a good way to go, and oh my gosh, this is messed up. Ed Gein is significantly more gruesome than I first anticipated. So this, of course, I haven't even said the title. This is Deviant, written by Harold Schechter. So Harold Schechter is kind of up there with like Anne Rule in terms of just how well known he is in the world of true crime and how well regarded he is. But I've yet to read one of his books. So just like I fixed that with Anne Rule this year, I am fixing that with Harold Schechter, and he does a fantastic job so far. Like I said, I'm about halfway through, and this is a great book. So I am definitely going to finish this one this month. Hopefully I'll finish it in the next couple days here so I can knock it out. But yeah, Deviant by Harold Schechter is crazy, and it's one of the first audiobooks that I'm going to finish in December. Back at the beginning of the year, I made a list of like 10 books I wanted to complete in 2020, along with some movies and some video games I wanted to play this year. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get to all of those on that list in 2020, but I did want to get to another one here, and frankly, I only have like 3 other books that I need to finish, so hopefully I'll get to those next year. But either way, I'm going to finish Final Girls by Riley Sager this month. So I'm not sure how I'm going to consume it, if I'm going to use the, you know, the hardcover physical copy I have, or if I'm going to do the audiobook. I can do the audiobook on Audible if I choose to, so if I get through Deviant in enough time, I'll probably go that route. The problem is, though, I have a couple weeks off in December, and we've changed our situation, so I'm not driving nearly as much now as I was even during, you know, the majority of the pandemic. So I'm driving significantly less, therefore I'm listening to less audiobooks, so it takes a little bit longer to get through those. So I don't know if I'm going to go physical or audiobook with this, but either way, I hope to finish Final Girls, written by Riley Sager. And like I said, this is one that will, another check mark off of my media to consume list for the year. So I'm excited to get to this one. Before I sat down to film this video tonight, I actually went through all of my 2020 media goals that I set back in January. I thought I'd failed virtually all of them, but it turns out there are a handful that I can still, either I have passed or that I can still accomplish if I, set my mind to it in the month of December. So one of those goals was to complete at least 12 graphic novels from my physical or digital collection. Now, I've read a ton of graphic novels this year, but I've borrowed a lot of them through, either digital services like Hoopla, or Comixology, or from my local library. So I have 10 in, and I need to do 2 more. Actually, I need to do 3 more, but one of those is going to be Watchmen, because the other part of that goal was that one of those must be Watchmen. So I'm going to do Watchmen, and then these 2 graphic novels I'm going to talk about next. So first up is one from my physical collection that I purchased recently, and this is Thor, Volume 1, The Goddess of Thunder. So this is actually the female Thor, and this is the hardcover. This is Volume 1. So it's only 5 issues, so it should not be, very long to get through. This looks incredible. Like, I cannot wait to get to this one. I bought it from Ollie's, and I just think it looks so interesting. Like, a female Thor, yes, that sounds awesome. So this is the first one of the 2 I'm about to talk about that I need to get through in order to meet that goal. So the next one I need to do is actually going to be in digital form. So this past month, I finally read Brian Keane's The Last Zombie, which was Volume 1 of that. It's a 5-part or 5-volume series. So Comixology has all of the volumes for only $2.99. So I'm continuing that story. I enjoyed the first one. It was just it was like a taste of what's to come, though. Like, I really want to dive more into this world, because what Keane has created here is super interesting. So this is a zombie apocalypse story, but it takes place like 2 years after everything has started. And we're basically at the point now where the zombies have all died out, and we're just dealing with kind of the living people, what's left of the world. And it's very interesting. And so I really enjoyed the first volume, which I own. And actually, I have like the single issues of that, which I never do. But back then I was buying them, and they've just been sitting around ever since then. That was since 2010. So it took me 10 years to get to it, but I finally did. But anyway, so I did purchase Volume 2, which is called The Last Zombie Inferno. So I will be reading that one in the month of December. And because it is part of my collection now, that since I bought it, this does qualify for this goal. So as long as I do The Last Zombie, Thor, and Watchmen, then I will have completed another of my 2020 entertainment goals, which just makes me very, very happy. Now, half of them I will fail, but hey, 50% is not terrible, right? So those are all of the books that I hope to finish next month. So with the TBR out of the way, let's jump over to my letter and prompt TBW game. First things first, let's do a little housekeeping. So as you guys know, if you've been following this game, I have basically 2 months to complete these. And if I don't, I have to unhaul them. So I have to get rid of them, trade them, sell them, whatever the case is. They have to leave my physical collection. So coming into last month, there were 3 that I needed to watch from I guess it would have been September, that I hadn't gotten to yet. I watched all but one of them. The one I didn't watch is the 3-hour-long Les Miserables. So I'm just not going to get to this one. That's fine. I'm going to end up getting rid of this. I bought it from a thrift store for like $1, so it's not a big loss. It's not one of my, boutique labels or anything like that, so I don't mind getting rid of this. And to be fair, I do have the digital version of this anyway in my Movies Anywhere, so, I can watch it anytime I want in the future. I don't need to own this one physically, so I am okay that I did not get to this over 3-hour-long movie, so this one is going to be unhauled. So see you later. I am actually quite proud of myself, though, because I had a relatively big TBW for myself for last month, and there were only 2 that I didn't get to. So this month, I need to get to Avengers Infinity War and Pan's Labyrinth, which means I got to everything else. So that's awesome. That will be all of those I'll talk about in my media wrap-up, which I'll do in a couple days, a week or so here. So you'll see my thoughts on those. But I did watch, obviously, Spider-Man Homecoming and Black Panther leading up to this. awesome. And so I cannot wait to get to Infinity War. We were actually going to watch this one tonight, and then I remembered, oh, you got to film, so maybe we'll do this one tomorrow. So these two I definitely am going to get to, because this is a 4K movie. I'm not getting rid of it. I just bought it, actually, for Black Friday. And then this is a Criterion Collection movie. I'm not getting rid of any of my Criterion Collection films. So I will absolutely be getting to these two in the month of December. So we'll remind you about these at the end of the video as well. And now it's time for the most difficult part of this video, where I try to attempt to explain to any new viewers what the TBW letter and prompt game is in the quickest way possible. So if you haven't seen this before, basically in this bag there is A through Z plus 2 blank tiles, one of each of them, and then there is prompts, 52 different prompts on this set of cards. So I pick a letter, and then I pick a prompt, and then I have to match that with my physical collection. So the prompts can be anything from a specific genre to a specific boutique label. It can even be a digital collection, which then, of course, I would turn to my digital collection versus my physical collection. But basically, I just go where the cards tell me to go. After I pick a letter, it goes back in the bag, but after I pick a card, it's done for the rest of that month. So that said, I could pick a prompt that I picked last month. It just depends on the luck of the draw. If I end up picking a letter more than once, then it switches from the title of the movie to become the director of the movie. It can be their first or last name. And then from there, we can kind of just talk about the rules as we come across them. If you are interested, though, definitely check out my first video where I do a much more elaborate explanation of the rules if you care to waste your time watching those. But that said, let's just dive in here and see what letter I'm going to pick first. So as I go in here and randomly draw a letter, I will mention also that I will typically start with the goal of picking 5 movies for my TBW for that month. So that said, the prompts can give me additional ones as I go. It just depends. But keep in mind also that I already have 2 on there from last month, so you know those don't count in the 5. So keep that in mind as we go. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're starting things out in the most difficult way possible. So I have no idea if this is going to work or not, but let's see what comes up. So now let me grab my cards and see what I can match up with the letter Z. Normally I show you guys me shuffling them, but you don't care. I'm not cheating, because if I was cheating, it wouldn't be fun for me. So yeah, we're just going to do it this way. So I've shuffled them off screen, and now let's see what prompt I have here. So, okay, collection pick Vinegar Syndrome. So to make it even more difficult, I now have to find a Vinegar Syndrome film that starts with the letter Z in my collection. So I don't know. I don't think I have anything offhand, but let me go take a look. So of course I do not have a Vinegar Syndrome title that begins with the letter Z. So what to do next? I don't really have rules for this situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the Vinegar Syndrome pick, because I think it'll be, interesting to pick something from that collection, and I've never had that yet. So I'm going to put Z to the side for a second, and then I'm going to draw another letter. So if there is nothing in my collection that begins with whatever letter is on this tile, then I will start with that letter and work forward. So if it was the letter A, for example, or let's say if it was the letter F, for example, I don't have any Fs, I would then move to G, H, I, J, K, and so on until I finally get to a movie in my physical collection that I have not seen. So let's see what we... Oh, well, look at that. It is a blank tile. That worked out perfectly. So now I can literally pick anything from my Vinegar Syndrome collection. So let me go see what looks interesting to me this month. Okay, so this is really exciting. So I did have that blank tile with the Vinegar Syndrome. So I don't know if this is a Christmas movie, but it sure feels like a nice winter movie. We have Jack Frost, and has this awesome lenticular cover here, which you gotta love. Not even opened yet, so you can see I have not seen this one. So this is going to be a lot of fun. It's nice and short. It's only like 89 minutes. This will be perfect for my December TBW. So my Vinegar Syndrome collection pick for my blank tile is Jack Frost. Let's see, and this one looks like it was released originally in 1996. So, fantastic. A mid-90s horror movie that takes place in, if not at Christmas, at least in the snow. So this is going to be a blast. So I'm very excited to watch Jack Frost this month. So the Vinegar Syndrome pick stays out now. I can't get that one again until potentially next month or later. And then these two go back in. So if I do draw a blank or a Z tile again, then that would represent the director's first or last name instead of a movie. So, or a movie title, I should say. So let's see what the next one is going to be. All right, the letter S. So that's like, one of the most popular letters in the alphabet. So this one should be pretty easy. So let's see what prompt I match S with. All right, they're nice and shuffled up here. Let's split the deck and see what we got. All right. Oh, no. Okay. All right. That's how it goes sometimes. So this is add 2 films and pick again. So, okay. Well, we're going to do that. So now instead of drawing 5 times, I have to draw 7 times, which means I will be watching at least 9 movies, or have at least 9 movies on my TBW. Of course, I watch other movies that are not on my TBW, but yeah, either way. So now I have to draw again. So let me just shuffle it a little bit here, split the deck, and we'll draw again. Let's see, it's upside down. Okay, watch an adaptation. So I need to find an adaptation that begins with the letter S from my collection. So that ended up taking me a lot longer than I expected. Not because there was no options, but because there were a handful of options. So a adaptation that begins with the letter S, I ended up going with Sam Peckinpah's Straw Dogs from 1971. So I've seen the remake for this, and I thought it was really well done. It was really just unsettling and difficult to get through. I love Dustin Hoffman. I want to see what he is able to do with this role. So very intrigued to check this one out. I've owned this for the longest time and have wanted to see it since like the day I saw the remake. And so now I'm going to add it to my December TBW list. So an adaptation that begins with the letter S is Straw Dogs by Sam Peckinpah from 1971. All right, so back in the bag with the letter S. Let's see what else I can get here. All right, so the letter U. So let me draw for the letter U now. Cutting the deck here. Let's see what we got. It's a genre pick. All right, genre pick fantasy. So let's see if I can find a fantasy film that begins with the letter U. Okay, I'm pretty excited about this pick. So fantasy that begins with the letter U. Basically what I did was went through my movie app, found the letter U, and then clicked on fantasy genre, and this one popped up. So I wouldn't have normally called this fantasy, I don't think, but I guess it makes sense. So this is the Underworld Trilogy. I'm not going to watch the whole trilogy, but I am going to watch the first movie. I'm just having a hard time getting it out, so I'm just going to keep it in here. But I've never seen Underworld. I think I started watching it once, ended up falling asleep, and then never went back to it, so I'm not going to count that as watched. So I'm going to use, for my fantasy pick, I'm going to start with the Underworld film series by watching the first movie in that franchise. So that one should be a lot of fun. Okay, and U is back in. Let's see what else we got here. So we have the letter L. All right, let's see what we got. Oh my gosh. You've got to be kidding me. Another add a film. Oh my goodness. I'm like so lost right now with how many I actually have to do. So that's going to move the number up to 10 at least. So let's draw another one. Let's shuffle it a little bit here. All right, that's good enough. Another genre pick, war. Okay, so genre pick war. What's the letter L? So let's see if I have any war films that begin with the letter L. Whoo boy, so this one is not nice. So my two options were a 228-minute movie or a 163-minute movie. So yeah, I'm reluctantly going with this one just because if I don't get to it, I don't want to get rid of it. So I will have to watch it within the next 2 months here, but hopefully I can get to it in December. This is The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. So this one is like 3 hours long and it's a Criterion Collection film, so I don't want to get rid of it. So I will have to prioritize this one in the next month here, but yeah, I don't know anything about this. Really, I didn't even know this was a war film. Well, I guess I knew it was a war film given the title, but it came up in my app as war. It was this or Lawrence of Arabia, which again, I have no idea if that's actually a war movie or not, but in my genres in my app, so it pulls from IMDb, it's listed as war as one of its genres, so whatever. I'm not picking that one though, because like I said, it's 228 minutes long, which is just absurd. So we're going to go with The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, and hopefully this one is as good as everyone has said it is, because that's the reason I bought it. So hopefully I enjoy it. So Life and Death of Colonel Blimp is another one on my TBW. L is back in. So this should be my number 5 pick. This should have been my last pick, but we have 3 more after this thanks to a couple cards. So that's always fun. Oh my goodness. First I pull Z and then I pull Q. So let's see. Let's see what Q is going to match up with. See what we got. Collection pick DVD. So literally I can pick any DVD that starts with the letter Q. So I have to have something that starts with a Q. So let me go see what I can find. So unfortunately, much like with the letter Z, I have no DVD, none whatsoever, that start with the letter Q. I do have like Blu-ray and DVD combo packs, but that's not really the spirit of this. So I am going to pick another letter like I did before. Let me keep the Q out in the time being, and let's see what else I grab here. Okay, the letter R. So I know I'll have a movie that starts with the letter R in my DVD collection. Let me go find one. I'm really excited about this one because I just finished the book that this movie is based off of. We have Ringu. So this is the entire anthology. So it has, as you can see in the back there, Ringu, Rasen, Ringu 2, and Ringu 0. I have never watched the original all the way through, so I will do that now. Like, this works out so perfectly because I've been wanting to watch this, especially having just read the original book. So Ringu is going on the list. Very excited. All right, so those letters go back in. We have 3 more to draw now. So first is going to be something to match with the letter J. And just as a reminder, this is the first time I pulled the letter J. I have Jack Frost on the list, but that's because it was a blank tile, so that does not count as a director's name. So let's see what we're going to do here. Okay. Genre pick, Western. I know I have something for this, so let me go grab it. I knew I had one Western that started with the letter J at least. Turns out it's the only one in my collection, so this works out. We have from the Criterion Collection, Jubal. I assume that's how you say that. Jubal. So this is from 1956 and is spine number 656. So directed by Delmer Daves. So this is a Western that I've heard a lot of great things about. And frankly, I have spent so little time with Westerns. This will be awesome. So very excited to get to Jubal this month. 2 more to go. Let's see what we got here. All right. So we have the letter E, the most commonly used letter in the English alphabet. Let's see what that matches up with. Good enough. Let's see what we got here. Decade pick. Okay, 1920s or earlier. Okay, let's see what we can find. I am getting some difficult ones this month, unfortunately, but that's okay because it mixes things up a bit. So I do not have any movies in my collection that are from the 1920s or earlier that start with the letter E. So instead of just keep pulling letters, because this is they're very slim pickings when it comes to that specific decade or those decades or earlier in my collection, at least. So what I decided to do was what I said I was going to do for the Vinegar Syndrome, where pull the letter and then just keep on moving forward down the alphabet until I find one that fits. So in this case, I had nothing that started with the letter F, but I do have something that starts with the letter G from the Criterion Collection. This is Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush. So there actually is a 1942 version and a 1925 version. So I will be watching the 88-minute 1925 version, which actually is a silent. So this should be very interesting. I have not spent nearly enough time with Charlie Chaplin's work, so what I have seen has been excellent. So I'm very interested to check out The Gold Rush, and I will be watching the 1925 version of this. So with that back in the bag, we will count E and G as drawn previously, and we are now on to my last one. Oh, let's hope. So let's see what we got here. Okay, the letter M. So let's see what the final prompt is going to be for December. Last one. Let's hope anyway. Another genre pick, family. Okay, good. Genre pick family for the letter M. So let me see what I can find. A family film beginning with M was only difficult because I'd seen most of the ones that begin with the letter M. So I ran upstairs to my 4K collection and came across a good one. So this is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. So I don't know if everyone would consider this a family film. When I was thinking family film, I was thinking, animation, something like that. But I think this is going to be like the next best thing. I believe this is like a middle grade book series, if I'm not incorrect. So this is going to work for my family pick. If it's not perfect, then it's close enough. So it was this or nothing. So this is going to work. So I'm excited to watch this. I don't know anything about this other than I know it's based on the book series. And like I said, I think it's a middle grade book series, which I love. So hopefully I will enjoy this and I can watch this one with my wife. So that's always a good thing. So Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is going to wrap up my TBW. So let me just make sure I have everything right here. So with my 5 picks, I also had a pick 2 and a pick 1. So I should have 8 picks here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and I do have 8 plus the 2 from last month. So just to recap my TBW, because this always seems to be the confusing part, we have Avengers Infinity War and Pan's Labyrinth that I have to watch in order to not unhaul them. And then we have all of these here. So Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, The Gold Rush, Jubal, Ringu, Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, the original Underworld, Straw Dogs, and Jack Frost. So 10 movies on this month's TBW, which might not seem like anything for some people, but for me, this is quite a handful, especially given the length of some of these. So we'll see if I can get through them. I did well last month, only 2 left over, and I'm planning to get through both of those in the next couple days here. So very happy with how I performed last month, so hopefully this month will be just as good. Oh boy, look at that pile of fun. This is going to be an excellent month of December. I'm super excited for all these. So many movies, so many books. This should be just a lot of fun, and it's going to help me get through some of my media goals that I set back in January. So really excited about the month of December. Let me know down in the comments below, what media are you guys consuming this month? Be it books, movies, music, video games, whatever. Let me know down in the comments below, because I love having more of a conversation with you guys down there. As always, if you guys did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to Cinefessions here on YouTube. And if not, well, thank you anyway for watching this video. I really do appreciate that. We are getting closer and closer to 550 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for the continued support. I really do appreciate that. And like I always say, I don't just talk books or movies. I talk all things media, be it books, movies, video games, comic books. If it's media related, I'm interested in it. And if you are too, you might consider subscribing. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for today. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.